Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 1st of February 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished the day up 0.3% to just over 7,500 points, and earlier in the day hit its highest level since April. Gains were broad across the index, with real estate companies doing well while energy stocks underperformed. Travel group Flight Centre was among the best, jumping 8% to $17.11. Telstra and diversified miner South32 were the best of the large caps, while Woodside Energy underperformed. Commonwealth Bank hit a record high of $110.81 a share before finishing up slightly for the day at $110.15. In corporate news, Austal got some attention it didn't need. Leading Republican Ron DeSantis has backed concerns by a party colleague over Austal's involvement in helping to build submarines and ships for the US Navy and US Coast Guard. That's a big deal for Austal, so I'm sure they'd prefer to go under the radar, so to speak. Atlas Arteria rose after its $630 million investment plan was approved by the French government. Maggie Beer Holdings rose more than 2% after its second quarter sales increased. The Reject Shop fell after the sudden resignation of Chief Executive Phil Bishop for personal reasons. He's only been in the job for 7 months. And Credit Corp said its net profit dropped 30% in the first half of the 2023 financial year, due to provisioning and US resourcing costs. Story number 2, the near $200 billion Future Fund has recorded a 3.7% loss for last year as equity and bond markets fell. But it was better than the average loss in median balanced super funds. The Future Fund has about $170 billion in it, and we all own it. Last year, markets went backwards as interest rates rose and earnings from the fund fell. Chair Peter Costello, who established the fund when Federal Treasurer back in 2006 with $60 billion from the sale of Telstra, said global interest rates will keep rising, and they do pose recession risks to developed economies. Now, he said the Future Fund's defensive posture limited the larger declines recorded in equity markets last year. In fact, over the past 10 years, the Future Fund has delivered an average return of 9.1% against a target of 6.7%. Story number 3, National Senator Matt Canavan, in a Senate inquiry today, asked a senior BP manager why diesel prices were about 60 cents a litre more than unleaded fuel. Excellent question. BP's Asia-Pacific Vice President for Supply in Midstream, Vesna DiTomaso, gave the answer. She said the increased price for diesel compared to unleaded petrol had come from a combination of interrupted supply from Russia and strong global demand. Russia historically is a key supplier of diesel. That really is the bottom line, and that's why people driving diesel vehicles are paying so much more. Story number 4, Australia has announced financial penalties and travel bans against human rights abusers in Myanmar and Iran. Sanctions under the Magnitsky Act will target 16 Iranian individuals, including from law enforcement, politics and the military, involved in the brutal crackdown on protesters. The Basij Cooperative Foundation will also be targeted alongside individuals and entities involved in supplying drones to Russia. In Myanmar, 16 members of the military regime are being sanctioned 2 years on from the coup. 2 entities controlled by the military are also being sanctioned. And finally, story number 5, the US Federal Reserve is expected to lift interest rates tomorrow morning, Australian time, but by a smaller amount than last year's rate hikes. Evidence that US wages increased at a slower than expected pace in the final quarter of last year, released overnight, has supported the case for a reduced rate rise. The employment cost index rose 1% in the December quarter, representing a slowdown from the 1.2% in the prior 3 months. That was enough to boost Wall Street with a broad-based S&P 500 and tech-heavy Nasdaq both closing this morning up about 1.5%. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 1st of February 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.